All right, guys, this is Coach Adrian, and this is another Brute Shoot. Today, we're gonna talk about muscle soreness. And I know you get it, and I know you get it, and I know that I get it, so we all get it. Muscle soreness is something that is gonna be a natural byproduct of our training, right? As a gym manager, as a head coach, this is a conversation that I have particularly with a lot of new athletes, understanding what muscle soreness is, what it should be, and what it shouldn't be. When we should take off days, when we should try to persevere through that muscle soreness. And we're gonna discuss just a little bit of that today. I'm gonna try to cover a really basic layer of things to consider and ways to process it. And then we're gonna actually have our own, very own Nick Fowler go ahead and execute a knowledge bomb specifically for all you guys that wanna geek out and nerd on exactly what muscle soreness is and how to deal with it from the scientific level. So today we're gonna address a few things. One, clearly everyone gets sore, right? Like you're always banged up, there's something going on. Specifically, we're talking about muscle soreness. So it's like, hey, after I've done X amount of air squats the previous day, during my glutes, my hamstrings, and my quads are so blown up, I'm so sore. I feel like I have to put my hands on the toilet when I sit down, right? We are describing that kind of muscle soreness. Now, understand that it's a natural byproduct of training and actually something that if we never experience, we're never going to truly progress, right? And so when we're in the gym, we're actually setting ourselves back. We're digging a deficit, right? So there's that catabolic approach to training that's actually breaking our muscle tissue and our body down. When we go home, when we rest, when we eat, when we sleep, when we take that, post-workout recovery shake that all you guys are super excited about each day, those are things that help our body become more anabolic and actually build back into what we're trying to progress towards, right? It's gonna help us gain lean body tissue. It's gonna help us gain that strength. Without the proper recovery, we could always be walking around this catabolic state where we're constantly breaking down muscle tissue and never seeing proper gains. So understand that if you're feeling it, it's actually a good thing and we want that. Now the trick is we just don't want too much of it and at a particular amount of time. So what I mean by that is if you notice that like you're so sore and you start to experience maybe even some swelling to a particular area, or it's very tender to the touch, and maybe like you normally have abs, right? And your abs look a little blurred, like that kind of muscle soreness is something that you have to err on the side of caution with, especially if you're like an experienced CrossFitter experiencing something like this. Make sure that you're drinking tons of water and make sure that your training the next day is at a very, very low intensity, almost like an active rest type day, right? Now, there are gonna be days where you're sore to the touch, and you're sore to the point where you're like, we did the air squats yesterday, my butt's sore, my hammies hurt, but I don't know if I should actually come in and back squat today. And that's gonna be up to you as an individual, right? You gotta be mindful of one, if after a proper warm-up, will you still feel this way? And what I do with a lot of my athletes is I encourage them to come into the gym. I personally think motion is lotion. So that means when you guys step into the gym and you're feeling all stiff and sore, you maybe have a desk job and you've been sitting down all day long. You might not even realize that you're that sore until you show up at the gym. But after you get through that 15, 20-minute warm-up with your coach and you've already expressed to them that, hey, you were feeling a little banged up, as long as the warm-up is properly meeting your needs as an athlete, you should feel like after, you could almost be ready to train at full go, right? If after that warm-up, you're still not in the clear for truly understanding, like, is today really a good day? Should I be doing this? Maybe you should just scale back the training a bit. And that might look like you, instead of hitting 5x5 as heavy as possible in a back squat, it might look like you scaling back to maybe 60% or some weight that you can focus on form, technique, still get great movement out of, but never be stressing or creating more breaking down of that muscle tissue. Another thing to consider, guys, is active rest. How I said motion is lotion, and I mean this through just some rhythmic type movements in the gym. So you can come in, you can row, you can run, you can bike, you can ski, you can do things like even sled pushing where you're not involved with eccentric loading. Eccentric loading is where we're gonna have our bodies working against gravity, where something's pulling back towards our body or pulling down towards the ground, and we're trying to decelerate that load. Even in a sled push, as difficult as it may seem, even on an assault bike, as difficult as assault bike sprints might seem, there's no eccentric loading, right? We're never having to slow down gravity against something. So those things actually have great value in days where you're trying to actively recover or hopefully feel better in the future. Another thing to consider, guys, when it comes to muscle soreness is that the stimulus of your training has to be programmed in such a way that it intends to predict the muscle soreness, right? Or the muscle adaptation. So a lot of times you guys are walking around sore every stinking day. And it's like, coach, I wanna be the best that I can be. So I'm hammering myself every day. I'm doing all this, I'm doing all that, I'm doing all these things. But understand that without that proper window of recovery, without the game planning of the future, or without having a sound program to follow, you're gonna lose that rationale. And over time, your return for investment is gonna become very small. So what I mean by that is you could be walking around very sore and feel like you're making all these victories because yeah, you're living in a dark place. You are pushing your body to its capacity. But if you don't have a plan for how that should be structured out throughout the course of a week, throughout the course of a month, throughout the course of a quarter of a year, and throughout the course of an entire season, maybe an entire calendar year, if you don't have those kind of visions, or at least the understanding that you need to have that kind of game planning, your training is gonna be very limited. So all in all, guys, when it comes to muscle soreness, everyone in the entire training world, from CrossFit to powerlifting to strongman, we experience it. And the reason is because it's something very necessary for us to get the results that we're looking for when we're training hard into the gym. So listen to your bodies, make sure that you're getting advice from your coaches, seek other advice online, learn things, but make sure that you're moving forward in your training in a smart way, predict where your recovery needs to be, and move forward with your training